For your body paragraphs for the career comparison essay, I'm going to show you a couple of samples that you can use as a guide. And both of the sample body paragraphs are from two different students, but they have both compared income of two different careers using the Occupational Outlook Handbook, articles from that website. And that's what you're going to use for your sources. So just to establish the basic layout of the body paragraphs so that you can recognize each step as you see it in the sample paragraphs, I'm just going to go over with you each step. So the first sentence, of course, is the main idea sentence. You don't ever want to start with a quotation in a body paragraph, or any paragraph for that matter. Always establish something more general, the main idea. And you'll see, certainly in the first sample and maybe in the second sample, you'll see that it starts with a transition sentence that talks about the topic that was previously addressed in the sample essay, and you're only seeing this one paragraph for each. So it might look a little funny to you just with this one paragraph taken out of context. But the last part of that main idea sentence will talk about income. So establish the main idea. What are you talking about? So if you're talking about income, write a sentence about income. Don't write sentences that say, this paragraph is going to be about income, or I am now going to compare two income levels for two careers. Don't say what you're going to do. Just do it. If in your writing process you just feel compelled to say what you're going to do, that's fine for a draft, but you always need to go back and mark out the sentences that say what you're going to do. And then just start right after that sentence or after that phrase. All right, after you have established your main idea, you want to introduce your source by title. We're using the Occupational Outlook Handbook, so I suggest that you just use that title before your quotation, because that will establish that you are using a credible source that is one that gives statistics that has been gathered by the United States that you can use reliably for good information and updated information on the income levels of your chosen careers. Then you're going to quote the source. You're going to use a parenthetical citation and put the article title in parentheses. Article titles, unlike website titles go in italics, article titles go in quotation marks. And you're going to see the article titles in quotation marks in your samples here. Even in the parentheses, they go in quotation marks. Then, after you've quoted something, you always react to it or reiterate it if it's something that needs explaining. But if you're just giving me a flat out, $20,000 a year kind of number, you can't really restate that in a way that's meaningful. So you may need to go ahead and start reacting to it, respond to that number, respond to that amount. Is that good? Is that bad? More than you expected or less? So think about it as a reaction to that quotation in the sentence right after the quotation. And then in the next sentence, you will have the so what. And when you are writing your comparison, the so what after the first quotation may just lead into that transition into the next career. So you might react to the number you've quoted, the amount you've quoted, and then transition to the next career, and then follow those same steps. So introduce the source, quote the source, give the parenthetical citation, react to the amount of income, and then finally, at the end of the whole paragraph, your so what may be a little longer than it was in just response to that first quotation, because you are really going to use language that compares the two careers and the two income levels, and they may be almost identical. If so, comment on that. You know, both are good jobs. Both will provide me and my family with the kind of income that will keep us healthy and comfortable and able to travel, or whatever it is that you seek to do in your life. So here are two samples. The first one, like I said, starts with the topic of personality traits, but transitions into income, as you see here. So if you are giving a body paragraph, this is like your second body paragraph or a third body paragraph, you should transition by using a sentence that starts with what you've just talked about in the previous paragraph and then transitions into what you are going to talk about. And that's a good way to write a sentence without saying, now I am going to compare. You're just saying, while personality traits are important factors, income level is another important factor in deciding what job would be good for me. Then you have the introduction to the source. The source is the Occupational Outlook Handbook. It is the title of a website, so it goes in italics. And then look, this flows well into the thing that's quoted. So the introductory phrase may continue on beyond just according to the Occupational Outlook Handbook. You may need to put some of your own words in there before you can quote that direct dollar amount. So don't be afraid to add more words to your signal phrase so that you can really embed the quotation in a way that makes sense. Sometimes students just put a quote in after according to the Occupational Outlook Handbook, and it doesn't make sense as a complete sentence. And all of your sentences should sound like something you would say out loud if you were explaining to people why the career choice you're considering is a good one. All right, notice that there is no period at the end of the quotation, and the period goes after the parenthetical citation only, after the parentheses. Also notice that the article title is what's in parentheses, and it contains the quotation marks as well. And in the works cited, this should be the first thing I see. So let's look at the works cited. This is the first thing I see for this source, so that's correct. Notice here in the works cited, you have a period at the end of the title, but here there is no period inside the parentheses. It goes outside the parenthetical citation. Then the green is reiterating or reacting to the quotation. Then the so what, why does this income level matter? Then transition into the next topic, the next career, introduce the source, embed your quotation using enough words to make it make sense as a complete sentence, give your article title in your parenthetical citation, and then period only after the parenthetical citation. Follow the quotation always with a reaction to the thing you've just quoted, and then your final sentence or two or three in the paragraph will give the so what. Why does this comparison matter to the person? These two careers are very similarly paid, so that will be a similar reaction. So here's a second sample. So this one also starts with personality traits because this was in the middle of their essay. This was not the first body paragraph. So they did a good job transitioning from talking about personality traits to talking about income level, and then talking more specifically about the income level of one specific career, introducing the quotation, and then I would have left the this part read as well, but they got what they needed in here. So all they're really citing is the actual dollar amount. And of course, the article is civil engineers. If I look down here, I will see it. Look, their works cited is a little messed up. If this happens to you, highlight the whole works cited. Actually, we need to backspace this up here. Backspace. So they don't have the hanging indent going, and their spacing is a little off. So if I go to line spacing and one of these says remove, that tells me I've got extra line space. So I need to click that, remove space after paragraph, and let me make sure I have a hanging indent. I may have to just go back and do that one for a hanging indent. Special indent, that's what I need, hanging. Okay, well, that messed that one up. So I will backspace. Oh, it took one off because it created one, so it undid my hanging. So I just highlight that one separately. Special indent, hanging. Ugh. So sometimes you have to play with it. That's okay. I'm just hitting undo until it fixes. Now I'm just going to highlight this one and click special indent, hanging. That fixed it. See, sometimes you have to play with it. That looks like it's got a little too much space there too. Line spacing, remove space after paragraph. See, it shrunk up a little bit. Technically, I would create a new page for this. So insert, page break, and then Works Cited is on its own page. So make sure that you do that for your Works Cited as well. You can read the samples, both of them, and see kind of how they follow those steps that I established for you at the beginning of this handout, and I will put it as a handout in your Blackboard shell for you, so you can look and see how two different students compared two different incomes of two different careers and followed those steps as I explained before. So yes, you should write a paragraph, and it's not unusual for your paragraph to be 3/4 of a page or a whole page even in college level writing. So don't be scared if it looks really long, if it looks longer than paragraphs you're used to writing. So go ahead and continue on, keep writing. You're going to have basically a double burger here because you have two quotations in your comparison essay because you're going to be comparing data about two different careers. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to go get help from the tutors. They're all familiar with this assignment and would be happy to help you as well.